Welcome back to Felony Miami. I'm your host, Joe Stone, and on today's program, we have three guests. Directly across from me, we've got returning champion Dr. B in the house. Dr. B is a real doctor, cardiologist, and he's also a hip-hop entrepreneur. He's out there in the community doing good things with his FDF project. You got a couple of artists that are popping off. You got Project JIT popping off, and you got Yogi coming up, and we're looking for big things from you. Thank you for being here today.
Big things. Salute.
To my left, we have Carlito. Carlito is the co-founder of UNTV, Chief Acquisitions Officer, and Music Executive. Carlito was born in South America, in Cali, Colombia, and moved to New York at the early age of 7. Carlito became part of the first and legendary Loud Records street team. He promoted all of the artists on the label, including Wu-Tang Clan, Big Pun, Mobb Deep, Exhibit, Funkmaster Flex, and many, many more. He also toured the country with Big Pun and Fat Joe on the radio show with DJ Radames on the Coast to Coast FM show. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And to my right, Kweku Darfoor, attorney at large. We're happy to have you here. Kweku is the co-founder, you're the founder, and the managing shareholder of Darfoor Law Firm, PA. Prior to funding Darfoor Law Firm, you did a whole bunch of other stuff, but what's really important is what you're doing now. And you are co-counsel with Benjamin Crump on the Corey Jones case up there in Palm Beach Gardens. And you know what? Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I want to jump right into that. I don't know how much of that you're allowed to talk about, but that's...
We'll see how much I can talk about too, man. Like, what you got, man? I mean, it's a very tension-filled, case, and unfortunately it happens across the country, but it doesn't really impact you as much when it happens to somebody.
Right, but this was another case of a white dude rolling up on a black dude and unloading his gun.
Yeah,
and he was a cop.
He was a cop that was not identified. That rolled in a van, a white van. So imagine just any kind of van out here, white with no markings on it.
Spooky.
Yeah, especially at 2 or 3 in the morning when there's nobody else out on the road, right?
Florida, it's Miami.
And it's South Florida. I mean, and also what made it more egregious is he didn't have any his badge. He didn't have a police vest. Nothing that would signify that, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm here to just see what's going on. It appeared from everything that the way he pulled up on him, how he encountered him, that he was there as an aggressor and not as a helper. Right?
Yeah.
And therein lies the problem. And the fact that, my guy lied about it, the police officer lied about this, not knowing that they had captured all the audio because Corey Jones was on hold at the time with roadside waiting for help to come. So everything that was being said, all the background was captured. So when the cop says, I immediately jumped out and I said, police, can I help you? That was a blatant lie, and intentionally trying to deceive like the public and everyone to believe like, no, when I approached, I was almost going to be a victim. I was going to be the victim, and I had to protect myself. Obviously, he's been running with that narrative ever since, but we now know it's a lie.
Because you've played the tapes.
Everyone's heard the tapes. Everyone's heard it. So there's no other way for this to turn out, in our opinion.
Because it captured everything else, just not that particular part that he said.
No, it captured all the sound. So there's a burb that you can't even, it's not even intelligible if it's something on there, alleged that something was said, but it doesn't capture him saying anything about being law enforcement, about police.
So what's the angle with this guy? Because all these cops keep shooting people and getting either not charged or acquitted. What's the angle on this particular deal?
Well, he's trying to do what like George Zimmerman did in Sanford. I don't know if y'all remember that case, right?
Yeah, start losing a fight and then kill somebody.
He's trying to do what, stand your ground. Yeah, you go in as the aggressor, but then you say, I feared for myself.
Right.
You go in as the instigator, but then you claim that I feared for myself. So he's trying to do that. Unfortunately, Florida legislator has voted to change how they apply the stand your ground. So now the burden is on the prosecution to show that the person doesn't have the right to use.
Wait, that was after the Trayvon Martin case?
That was after, yeah. And they're trying to apply, some people are trying to apply it retroactively. So even like incident or their happened before they change the law, they're trying to say, well, I get the benefit of the doubt to use this, but that shouldn't be the case. So that's what's trying to happen here.
So they are using the stand your ground law as a ground for their case, as the foundation of their case?
Absolutely, yeah. We went, last week they had a hearing, 2-day hearing, where the state presented their evidence, the defense presented their evidence, brought their expert witnesses on there, and they argued that, he should be entitled to use the stand your ground to not even face prosecution. So,
are you serious?
Damn.
Wait, can you tell our listeners what stand your ground is? Like,
So
lay it out for us.
stand your ground essentially gives you the ability as someone that used a gun, shot someone, to claim that you were in fear of imminent death of your life, basically, and for you to do that, you had to kill them. So stand your ground. You don't have to retreat. You don't have to, if someone approaches you, anywhere, you don't have to back off. You can let off. You can shoot them and claim, well, I thought in my head, in my heart, that I thought that my life was in danger. So they put themselves in a reasonable person standard. What would they have done? And they claim that Raja, the officer, thought in his head his life was at stake when he aggressively approached Corey. Didn't follow any procedures. No procedure.
He drove up on a car.
Yeah,
He drove up on a ramp.
He got out of his car.
He jumped
and then
out.
He was in fear for his life.
Yeah,
Okay.
all of a sudden.
So twisted.
Claiming
He
that
could have kept driving.
It's so twisted. I remember when Florida enacted this stand your ground law. It's nuts. Are there any other states that have this kind of a law? It's probably Texas, but man, I'm just saying.
I think there's other states. Obviously the states where gun rights are allowed everywhere, but the states that champion more NRA policies will obviously favor a stronger ability for someone to use their gun and not prosecute them, and allow them all the flexibility of using your gun and using the law to shield you. And this guy's a cop, so stand your ground is really supposed to apply to.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Civilians, right? You're a cop. This is your job, right? So how do you apply saying you're in fear for your life when your job is to go out there, protect and serve people,
right?
And you carry a gun
to walk into danger,
right? You approach danger to try and resolve it and solve it and help it. So how can it's, to me, it's not right that a police officer that breaks all the rules and procedures and all the training that they've been told and given to go off and kill someone and shoot someone just without any rhyme or reason, just because you thought you could get away with it.
Yeah. It seems difficult because the burden of the proof is on the prosecution. So you have to prove, or at least be in the cop's mind and prove that they did not use that burden that you mentioned. So basically, the burden is that they had to feel like they were in. That their life was in danger, right?
Yeah.
And they reacted in kind with force to prevent them from dying or getting seriously harmed.
Right.
And so the prosecution has to prove that no, that was unreasonable, and actually they could have used other means, but to defend themselves or neutralize the situation.
Yeah, and actually, one of our producers just sent me this information. So, is it Catherine Fernandez Rundle?
Yes, the state attorney.
Yeah, well, she's decided to charge him with manslaughter and attempted murder.
Well, no, that was Dave Ehrenberg. Catherine Fernandez is his former state attorney in Miami.
Yeah.
But the state attorney in Palm Beach Gardens, Dave Ehrenberg, has charged the officer with attempted murder.
He has?
Yes.
Okay, so he's been charged.
He's been charged.
So
He's in
jail now?
No, he's out on bail. They gave him $250,000, bail. So he's out. He's house arrest. He gets to go to work, take his kids to school, get his hair cut and stuff like that.
Where's he going to work?
Where does he work at?
Is he still a cop? He's not a cop anymore.
Okay.
They fired him, but he got a job somewhere, some laser tactical unit selling like vest or something of that nature. He's out.
It's a tough move. I'm sure that in the moment, he felt fabulous, pulling the trigger. But the after effect, and when you see how many lives get affected by taking another life, it's
sad.
It's hardcore. So talking about crimes and stuff, and I don't want to get into how money affects the criminal justice system with you guys, but anybody else here ever been a victim of a crime, like with a car rolling up on them?
Well, I was telling. That's funny. When I first moved to Miami, I kept hearing about, be careful, they get carjacked out here a lot, right? And I used to hear stories back in the 90s, because in the 90s, we used to come here, party, and whatever. But I used to hear people rolling up and carjacking you. So I was going home one time. I don't know if it was an award show or something. But you know, in Lejeune by the airport, across the street from the airport, there's the gas stations.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be very dark there at night. Like, there was no lights there.
Super creepy area.
Super creepy.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll never forget. I'm
know
on
the
the phone
spot.
with I'm on the phone at the time with my ex-wife, and I'm telling her stay on the phone with me. It's like 4 a.m, really dark, and a van pulls up on my right side.
These fucking vans.
It was
blowing
crazy.
your
It
mind.
was a van. Yeah. It was a van on my right side, and I never forget. It was a silver Oldsmobile, 4-door Oldsmobile, the Dunks, whatever.
Yeah.
And I see the 2 kids come out from my left. I have the phone on my shoulder and my face leaning on the phone. Like, I'm holding it and I'm telling my ex-wife, I'm like, hold on, stay on the phone because I'm falling asleep. I saw that van, woke me up right away.
Yeah.
So I had a coupe at the time. I had a coupe behind the passenger seat. I had a gun stashed behind the passenger seat. Because for me, it was easier, just anything. That's just my mentality. I'm from the Bronx, so a lot of things I've seen, I'm like, hold up, I don't need that. I knew the law back in the day was like, you reach for the glove compartment. Now you can actually have it next to you. Yeah. So I had it in the back seat, and I see the van, and I see the 2 kids on my left. They get out like nonchalant, like nothing, and they start walking towards my car. The van backs up, but blocks me. So I put the car in reverse and I start backing up and I pulled out my gun. They start running towards me. As soon as I pull out my gun, they all run.
Oh, well, yeah.
At the time, I'm not gonna lie to you, I had no gun license, no nothing.
Yeah.
But I thought, like, hold up. It woke me up. Mind you, it's dark.
It's scary.
That area is very dark. It's not like that no more. Now they got lights there.
Yeah.
And I dropped the phone. And I had my gun, and I was nervous. I can't lie to you. I was like, what's going on? But I'm driving in reverse. No lie, there was no cars around. It was just me at that light.
Yeah.
So I believe they've gotten people there many times.
Probably.
Because it's a van and an Oldsmobile. The van, nobody ever got out the van.
And this was the 90s, right?
This was like 2001.
Okay, so not a ton of video cameras around yet.
Yeah. People wasn't really filming.
And it was so dark in that. And I was told, like, my ex-wife at the time, her father told me, be careful in that area. Like, you gotta be careful here. Because back in the 90s, I heard people leaving the airports were getting carjacked. It was all over the news.
Yeah, because they used to put, you could always tell which were the rental cars because the license plates had like an E or something on them.
And they would get them, kill them, whatever.
Oh, it got crazy here for a minute.
So, bro, I ain't gonna lie to you. Thank God that I was like...
Wait. So, are you sure that this was a real situation and not in your head?
Nah, this was the
So if
scary...
you go back to the video,
I just
some Girl Scout cookies.
All I know is doing reverse, and when I pulled out my gun, they ran.
Gotcha.
So I went around the van, and I
That's
just
crazy.
dipped. Not looking back, no nothing. I'm looking for my phone. I got on the phone, and I was like, yo, you would not believe what just happened. Are you all right? I was like, I'll tell you when I get. I just want to get home. And it's literally when you're coming. It's on the side of the airport on Lejeune where the gas stations are at, and it's soup. I mean, now it's not.
But back then,
It was
back
a
then,
it was a creepy.
It was
area
creepy.
back
I ain't
then.
gonna
Yeah,
lie to you.
I
It was
remember.
scary.
definitely-
Like I was
probably
like, oh,
late at
man.
night, right? So
It
the
was,
road was
bro, it was like
relatively-
almost 4 a.m.
Yeah,
That's
the
when
road
it's the
was clear.
darkest.
Yeah, and there's
Nobody's
nobody on the
there.
road, Yeah.
And I had dropped off my friend that lived probably 2 minutes away from where that happened. Just dropped him off. Actually, the car had dropped us off at his house. I got in my car and I drove home. And 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I called him. I'm like, yo, this just happened to me. He goes, bro, I told you that area is like, why'd you even get there?
Yeah, why'd you even stop for
I
gas
said, I
there?
went local. No,
Yeah, you don't know.
I went
I'm just
local. I didn't know.
saying.
I just bought. I was
Ain't
just
no
living
better.
here. I
Right.
knew how to get. I lived in Coral Gables at the time,
Yeah.
so I
So-
knew how to get there. And
back to
it's scary.
So that was a scary, interesting story.
Oh no.
So I wanted to get to the meat and bones of why we brought everyone here together, which was to discuss the money in the criminal justice system.
Okay.
And you in particular, you're successful, right? And you've done
Thank God.
well for yourself, but you were not always successful.
No.
And you were exposed, unfortunately, not exposed, but interacted with the criminal justice system at different points in your life. And so I just wanted to discuss a little bit about your own personal experiences with the criminal justice system not having money versus now that you have money.
Well, when I was getting in trouble and I had no money, it was, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
Like, there's no lawyer, no nothing. I mean, unfortunately, you go through, it's the surroundings that you're, I'm raised in a different surrounding than I'm raising my kids now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not my mother's fault, it's not my father's fault. It's just my mother had 3 jobs, we were always home alone, and it was just like, you're a young kid wilding out, let's be honest. But I got in trouble. The first time I got in trouble was, I was 15 years old. And it was a fight. I got stabbed. The kid, it was just horrible. They wanted to like bury me. And it was really self-defense on my end because I got stabbed.
Yeah.
But I beat the kid up, and he's saying that it was self. I was like, no, they tried to jump me.
Yeah.
So I didn't have no money. We didn't have no money like that. So they give you like, the regular attorneys, what are they called?
Defender,
The public defender.
And you were a juvenile.
I'm 15 years old.
Yeah.
I'm about to turn 15.
Yeah.
So they sent me to Spofford. I had to. They was like, no, you could go home to your mother. No, they sent me to Spofford. I was in infirmary because I was stabbed. And then when I went to court, it was the kid had money.
Wow.
And the kid didn't get anything, bro. They
Really?
gave nothing. The kid was like, he
was
stabbed me.
He wasn't charged with anything?
Nothing. His father was a cop.
Oh.
And they had money. So the kid I'm handcuffed on one side because I got stabbed in my lower back. And I'm looking at the kid walk in with 2 lawyers. And I'm like, and he's just the same age as me. That's when I was like, hold up, you got to have money. It's all about money.
Right.
Because he stabbed me.
With a public defender. What was your experience with your public defender?
He was horrible.
Why?
He told me to plead guilty.
What?
And I was he was like, you gotta plead guilty, because I'm like, I'm not pleading guilty. I didn't do anything. I defended myself. I got stabbed. So
He just told you got to plead guilty?
he said you're gonna plead guilty. He was telling me other reasons to plead guilty because it's gonna go in your record. I'm like, no, I'm not.
So what ended up happening?
They gave me a year probation. I was able to go leave
He
Spofford.
told you to plea it down.
Plea it down. It was 5 years that they were trying to give me, and then they ended up. I fought it. I was like, I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty. So then they let me leave, but they gave me a year probation, and I was a crazy fine. I don't remember, which my mother couldn't even afford it. Like it was just we had to pay it. You know what I'm saying? Like we had to, but the kid got away. Like the kid got away. Like he just walked off, and I'm like, he stabbed me.
He was able to buy his way out of this. Facing
exactly.
any.
And I learned that as I got older. Like, okay, you could buy your way out of.
So did you run into trouble again when you were a little older?
I got into a little trouble here. Remember when the Super Bowl was out here?
Couple times.
Which one?
Yeah. Which one?
99.
Okay.
It's my first time getting arrested in Miami. It was horrible, bro. So, but the money was good. So I didn't get to experience like the 14.
What did you get arrested for?
They charged me with domestic. They charged me with assault on a cop, resisting arrest, which I don't know how that's possible.
That's a BS.
I never understood the resisting arrest thing. Disorderly conduct, but they beat me up. And the reason what happened, we had a show. This was when Pun was still alive. We had a show at Cameo. So we're leaving Cameo, and just people were being disrespectful. Let me just say that, like, oh, fuck that fat nigga. Like somebody said something stupid like that. We just kept walking. I felt someone grab my left shoulder. So when someone grabbed my left shoulder, turned me around, I swung. The person that I hit, I knocked him out. Like he fell, boom. When he fell on his back, I saw a gun and a badge.
Oh, you hit a cop.
I was like,
Oh, man.
I just went like this. Like I put my hands up. And then at the time, Pun had this security named Shook. Shook tried to put me in the car. Cop grabbed me, bro, slammed me on the floor, kicked, like dragged me in the middle where the grass is at. Bro, they beat the living daylights out of me.
Yeah.
But again, it wasn't like I wanted to hit him.
It was your instinct.
It was my instinct.
And in the context, there was a lot of
It was a
bad
lot
energy.
going on. The security's trying to get us in, this and this, and like they're trying to get us in the car. And all I felt was someone they pulled you.
Yeah.
So when they pulled me, my reaction was to swing. And he fell.
Yeah.
I was 18 years old. Bro, they beat the living daylights out of me.
In this day and age, it probably would have ended up.
So after you got your
they-
official police ass whooping,
They took. It's funny because they took me around the city. They didn't take me straight to jail.
Oh, they rode you around
They
for a
drove
little
me
bit
around.
and put some more work in.
Put more work in. No, they drove me around. They would come in the back, slap me up. Oh, you New Yorkers think. Like, he was talking so much crap. I don't know if we could curse here or whatever, but
pissed off. Yeah.
he was like, and I'm handcuffed, and I never forget it. They took the the mugshot and all that.
Yeah.
And they put me in a room with like a bunch of people
Miami-Dade over here.
in downtown.
Oh, yeah.
They put me in a room with a bunch of people. I had a
I've been in
black
that
eye.
room before.
My face
It smells like urine. It's horrible.
horrible. My face is swollen.
Yeah.
My face is. I'm 18 years old, mind you. My face is swollen. My ribs are hurting me. I never forget. I had since it was a Super. I had a jersey and it said Loud Records in the back. So it was a Friday night. It happened Friday night. I didn't get to the jail till 6 a.m. Saturday.
Riding for
They were riding. I'm thinking they were taking me to the precinct. Right there on Washington. No.
they cool.
So I mean, I feel like I got lucky because we had money. So Sunday I came out for the Super Bowl. Like, they went and got me out.
Lucky you still got to go
I
to the
stayed
Super
there.
Bowl,
I
right?
stayed there. Yeah, I still went to the
So
we still had a big show there.
So let me ask you. You named Big Pun. How did the law treat him? Did he ever have any
Nah,
experiences
he got away with
the-
a lot. Being a celebrity, I'm not gonna lie, he got away with a lot of stuff.
He did.
We did a lot of it wasn't stupid stuff. Like, he really would go drive around the Bronx and give people money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the problem was that he would cause a scene, so a lot of crowd and the cops would come and be like, "Oh, it's Pun, it's okay."
Oh, okay.
Like, they
so
never
nothing in Miami. He
nah.
never got arrested here. Or?
No, never got into
So
no
his,
trouble. I mean,
so his
not-
celebrity carried him a little bit.
Yeah, it helped him a lot. I mean, that's to all celebrities. I've seen it personally.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
but at the same time, I think now they're making an example out of certain. They did it to Meek.
Yeah.
No.
They did it to Meek. They made an example out of him.
Yeah, that was a crazy.
Now they're making an example out of artists. So they know you got the money. They know. Let's be honest. They knew he was gonna come home.
Right.
Let's
It's-
just drag
yeah.
this, make him spend money, and make him look. I was just like the story I was just telling you. I got arrested on a Friday, and Sunday, the owner of the Loud, Steve Rifkin, they sent his lawyers and they came and got me out. Gave me back all my property. I went home. I never came back to court.
You didn't have to appear or anything.
I didn't have to appear.
Much different
Never,
experience
ever,
than-
ever came back to court. Now, if I wouldn't have had that,
Yeah, punching a cop.
like if and they dropped that,
yeah.
it's not on my record. They dropped all of that.
Yeah.
I think because I got my ass whooped, they probably, but no, I'm not lying to you. Sunday morning, I stood in front of a little camera, I forget, and they're like reading me stuff. You're free to go. I'm like, okay.
So if you were to point to one difference between the 14-year-old incident, 15,
it's money, man.
That's the sole one thing.
It's money, bro. It's money. Because I'm going to give you another example, right? And this is probably different. It's not criminal. I'm going through a custody case with my kids, right? My first son, I went through a custody case. With the money that I put behind it and the lawyers, I beat it like this. And I won custody of my son. Because the laws changed in 2011. I don't know, with the whole custody, they changed. It's not, the kid does not belong to the mother or the father, and it's the state that belongs to that the kid belongs to. So we can fight it. Now I'm going through it again, and I'm going through it by myself. I don't want no lawyers, and it's harder on me because I'm not investing that money.
Yes.
Because let's be honest, and there's no disrespect to no lawyers or none. They're friends of judges. They're friends of all the other lawyers.
Well, he went to law
Well, they
school.
know
with
him.
judges,
They
right?
know each other.
Like, it's
They
like,
know
So
each other,
my
yeah.
lawyer was like, look, we're going to do this to this lawyer. He's going to make, we're good. It's all, if I'm investing money into this lawyer, he's going to trust me. If I keep feeding him and feeding him, he's going to talk to you and be like, yo, the guy just wants to be a father.
Yeah. So it's more than just the lawyer's capabilities. It's accessing their relationship. as well.
Exactly. So now I'm doing everything on my own. And the reason I'm doing it, just to prove her that she got 5 lawyers, I'm going to do it. And I believe I'm going to win it because I can do what the lawyers are doing. All they do is file paperwork.
Wish you the best, brother.
No, I appreciate it.
Kweku's just dying to say that famous line, right?
No,
You know the famous line about the man who represents himself as a fool for a lawyer?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to
I just think I should have been a lawyer. Sometimes I think I should have been a lawyer.
I would represent myself. I would represent myself.
Entertainment people would be, or always people should be because they like know how to work the crowd and you know how to charm
let's
people.
be honest.
Yeah,
this is not criminal, so
Yeah.
it's a custody case. So it's
Right.
like, yo, I could do this.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
A lot of paperwork to be
Oh
filed.
my God, I've never read so much in my life. But
getting
it's for
the
my
crash
kids.
course.
It's for my son, so I don't care.
Yeah, you get.
But I think it could be similar. If I know people that were going to jail for murder, they have money. A year later, they're free. It's just they beat it. They beat it.
We brought
have
that
money.
up many times before, which is why we wanted to have this conversation that two different murderers can have two different lawyers and get two different sentences. So, Kweku, why is that?
Well, I mean, obviously, people are going to look at your history, right? Like, so we're called comparing apples to apples, right? Sometimes it's a comparison of apples to oranges, right? Because you have maybe one person that has a stellar history, no problems before, and has no priors, right? Then you have someone that you only see what they showed you on TV, like, oh, he had this, but you don't know the backstory or what their history is, their priors. They, what violent crimes they've done before.
Right.
So I'm not a state attorney. I'm not a criminal lawyer. This is just what I've gleaned from my friends that are in the criminal law.
Right. But priors, in order to have priors on your record, right? You can, if you have money, you can avoid getting anything on your record in the first place, right?
You can diminish a lot of the things that are brought.
So you can do a lot of you can do a lot of
Yes.
dirt, and that doesn't show.
So
on your
basically,
record.
if I have charges on my record that I don't want, with money I could get them.
Well, I think Florida only allows you to
them expunged.
expunge
Get them
or
expunged.
seal one, up to one. So
Does that mean they could pop up they could reopen them anytime?
No, once you have it expunged and sealed, that's
it's done.
that. It's done.
Unless
yeah.
it's a government like FBI. I mean, FBI, obviously these people can see it, right?
Yeah,
but
they
like,
can-
you're not going to apply for, HOA and say, I want to buy this place. And they're like, oh, no, it's not going to show up in those type of places. But the government agency is always going to have access to whatever you've done,
Yeah, the deep state.
Yeah. All right.
Whatever that is.
But but go ahead. So
what I was saying about how the money, what are you talking about? How the money,
how
Because
money
of the money,
impacts.
right?
Yeah, outcomes.
it makes you more
So,
powerful.
you said one of the things is apples to apples versus
Right.
apples to oranges,
So
right?
yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying is that like they score certain things. Like when let's say you get picked up, they'll score certain things about, all right, what priors. Now, if you have a stellar background, it's easier. But obviously, if you have the money to go and hire a powerhouse lawyer, that person is well respected, number one, known, has clout. So, you know what? Their friends or whoever, they have some level of influence. You know what I mean? That things that can go, it has to be something that can go one way or the other, right?
Right.
The things that can go one way or another, they'll tend to go in their favor, right? If it's a blatant, obvious thing, now they have to find a way to lessen the impact on you, right? So if they're trying to give you, let's say, 50 years, they're like, well, you know what I mean? The only thing I can do is get you 10. But another person who doesn't have that money to hire that lawyer, you're getting that, and they're going for more. You're not getting a chance to diminish the impact. You're not going to get a chance to bring down any of the severity of the punishment. You're getting that. You know what I mean? So the money has an influence, and you can get away on the lower level stuff. Yeah, you can get away with that stuff all day. A little possession of some kind of drugs or something. Someone that has money, you can get away with. You not get away, but that stuff is easier because, like, do they want to put their resources into going after you on that? No, let's not. Let's go after somebody else. For a higher violent or higher crime.
Yeah, I mean,
let me ask you a sign. So if I hire the most expensive lawyer, I'm free.
Well, I don't know.
I've just seen some. I've seen some crazy situations where they go for the most expensive lawyer, and I'm like, oh, okay, they're not going nowhere.
Like, so,
And it usually happens. You know what I mean?
You have to not only you have to also be good at your craft, right? So like, there's some
That's where they're expensive.
right. Well, that's it doesn't always go hand in hand, but it's a lot of the times, yeah, it goes hand in hand, right? Because some people have great networks, and they're not the best trial lawyers, so they're not going to be able to perform to the ability of someone else in court in terms of, you know what I'm saying, how they try the case and their strategy, but their network and their influence.
They know people.
Is so strong.
Do you think even with the dollar factor, that racism is still playing into that? Like, let's just, for example, say somebody that's Latino or black has the money. Do you think, even if they do hire the best lawyer, that racism still plays?
Does that wash it out?
into
Does that neutralize it?
You're still dealing with implicit biases, right? So there are certain things that are implicit, people are biased about unless you're like stellar clean. But if they see someone, I go in court and be like, sir, defendants go here. And I'm like, really?
Oh, mother. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I will appear in court. It's changing a little bit now, but when I first started practicing,
Oh my God, super insulting.
when I first started practicing, one bailiff was like, "Sir, what are you doing here? Defendants go here." I said, "Well, I must be in the right place then, because I'm an attorney, right?"
That's horrible.
So
man.
implicit biases are gonna be always there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just when you
it's
get
like
to a
auto,
certain
so like auto responses that people seem to have, that I guess are super deep, and
So here's what happens a lot of the time with the whole money in criminal justice system thing is that people give public defenders a bad rap, and the assumption is that if you don't have money, you get stuck with a public defender. And we've been fortunate enough to have PDs on this show and other
Some of them are great
individuals
attorneys.
who
There are a lot of great
actually
attorneys that
love
really
what
do.
they do, and they're great at what they do. And they take offense to the assumption that just because you don't have funds that you're going to get subpar or less than adequate representation. So the Miami-Dade County Public Defender's Office apparently is one of the top-notch groups.
we
in
had
the
Carlos
nation.
Martinez on the show, and he's the head of that office.
And so how does that play out when you actually have a municipality where they actually have a strong PD department? Is that something that neutralizes the impact?
Here's the real deal, right? Like most of
money?
the PDs are young, so you're just coming out of law school. So you haven't built up your representation of people. You don't have the experience.
Right.
They get a lot of young people, and they overstack them with cases. I mean,
What
they
about
can
prosecutors? It's not the same on their end?
No, well, prosecutors.
different?
No, it's a little. Well, you're talking about someone because as a state, you have a lot more leverage because you're the power that
You're
be.
the state.
You're the
Got it.
state,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You don't have the same burden as someone that's trying to get someone off as a PD, right?
Yeah.
But so they get hundreds of cases on their desk.
Yeah.
How much time can they allocate to your case, right? To fight it with all their vigor and aggressiveness and so forth. They're young. I'm not saying that all the PDs are young, but usually PDs, a lot of them are out of law school or maybe a couple years just out of law school. So they don't have the same, someone that's been practicing 30 years, has the same experience. So they haven't seen all the same type of cases. Now you're stacked them with 200 or 300 cases, right? And also they don't have as much funding. They can't go after every single thing because they have to spread out their resources.
Right.
You know what I mean? They have to, go and defend this case, and show up. And they go to the hearing, and they might have 10 cases that day.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
You know what I
It's a
mean?
big burden.
It's
a big burden.
it's a lot. And so not saying that they're subpar. It's just they have a lot on their plate. You go to a private attorney, you're paying them. They
focus on
invest
you.
To focus
their
on you,
focus
exactly.
to make sure that, hey, this person is paying me. I have to represent them, and I have to make sure I cross all my T's, dot all my I's, and look for
Well,
every
some people
little
argue
evidence.
against that. They say that sometimes, and you would hear this from the public defenders, that you actually do yourself a disservice if you go out and pay for a lawyer because sometimes they're incentivized to not go to trial. Like they would rather just keep the money and negotiate a plea and let it go away rather than investing that time because their money's already capped.
You have to do your homework when you hire a
So
lawyer.
having money can actually get you in trouble or make you look bad also,
Yeah.
right?
In what way?
I'll give you an example. Like
Okay.
I have a family member. He just actually came home. He did like 22 years, 23 years. He had money, but the more money he spent, the worse it made him look in court.
Well,
Oh, gotcha.
I see what you mean.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Like,
see what you're saying.
He had the biggest lawyers, the biggest
Right.
this. They were like, okay,
Get
but
nice
where
looking
you?
suits.
Where you
Nice
getting all
looking
this money from?
Now the question
It's
was,
a question about where is it
where are
coming
you getting
from?
all
What's
this
the
money
source
from?
of it?
But
Yeah.
aren't you
Isn't
saying
there-
you're not so and so or what? So I'd look at it like, oh man, then that could still get you in trouble.
Yeah, well, it's all they look at they're probably building a profile along the way, right? So
Right.
not just from the day that the charges came, they probably had a profile beforehand. Now they're bringing it all out. So all right, you come with this. Now we're gonna bring in
That's true.
these
And it
elements.
fits the
You come
narrative,
with this.
yeah.
We're
Good
gonna
thing
bring in
about it is
these
he didn't do
elements.
life. He did 20. But still, that's why I say the money can also make you look like you're guilty.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
lifestyle.
I would opt to have the money any day. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I mean, at the end of the day,
I don't want to even be ever be in that situation again.
This is the thing, though. That I don't know your family, but he couldn't have hired those lawyers without the money, right? Now what he would have faced.
He might have been facing
Yeah.
life.
Right.
He was facing life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So he needed those lawyers.
So without
Yes.
those lawyers, it's a possibility that
Yeah,
he
20,
never would have come
25,
home.
something like
Yeah,
that.
so you
Right?
mentioned like one downside of it, but probably in totality, it was probably more positive than negative. You just
Yes,
mentioned one of the negatives
I was like,
as opposed to the million
yeah.
positives that he received from having high power attorney.
But that's what I'm saying. Like having the money can also make you look guilty because it's like you're buying your way out of it.
Yeah, but you never look at that when you look at all of the people that are stuck in jail because they can't pay bail, right? Like they can't afford it.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh,
so-
that's what I wanted to bring up because you brought it up earlier about when you were 14
Got paroled.
and you had to pay a penalty that
Yeah,
your
they
mom
fined
who
me.
couldn't afford it had to pay.
It was like I don't remember how exactly, but it was like they would have to pay every month.
Yeah, but is that an example of what the poverty tax? You mentioned it earlier. Is that the term?
Poverty penalty. Nah.
Poverty penalty,
Yeah, so
yes.
like, if you get arrested, right, like you go and they set your bail, like, various offenses. Like some are, you don't have bail, right? Serious penalty. If you're a threat to society or they think you're going to flee, they don't even give you bail, right? But everywhere else you get arrested and you can bail yourself out. Obviously you have to have money to bail yourself out, right? Yeah. So if you get pulled over for a little bit of marijuana or something, right? And maybe you had a paraphernalia. Well, you may not have the whatever they're even if it's $500, right? Yeah. $500 is a lot of money to a lot of people, right? So if you don't have that money, guess where you sit? Sit in jail until you get your hearing and obviously until you get your trial. So they're putting your pressure on you to now you can either sit here and meanwhile while you're sitting there, guess what? You're not going to work.
Right.
You can't take care of your kids or whatever, your spouse. You're just sitting there. All your life is going on. Things are still happening, but you may lose your job. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
You may, you know what I'm saying? Your kids may get taken away because you're not there. You're not there to take care of them, whatever it may be. So your pressure's on you now. Like, what do? They offer me this deal. I can go home.
Yeah.
I can go home, but I got 2 years of probation and
Which is
XYZ.
a recipe for failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
whole
play devil's
probation.
advocate on that.
Right.
Yeah, Gotti, that's a
You've experienced that with a lot of your recording artists.
Yeah, I mean it's night and day. I mean, basically, one of the things that I'm very proud of that we provide for them is access to resources. And I look at and see how their trials would have ended up or their case would have ended up without access to the resources, and it's night and day.
When you say resources, you mean lawyers?
I mean lawyers and funding, things
Right.
like that, and the network that we have.
Yeah.
I mean, I vouch for them because I'm respected and I do a lot with the community and I have real relationships with individuals and I co-sign on my artists because at the end of the day I believe in them and they're definitely doing positive things for the community and I'm able to advocate for them and they do well. And hope and thankfully that they've proved me right. But not everybody's available for people to advocate on their behalf. So when you don't have that's when you end up with the poverty penalty or
So
being locked away.
One interesting thing, one I guess kind of a new progressive policy. The state attorney out in the Orlando area, Erin Masiala, decided that she's going to get rid of the bail for low-level offenses. Right,
Smart move.
Yeah.
So, you get.
So that's actually a decision that a local or a regional state
Yeah, how
attorney
does that
office
work?
can
Yeah,
make.
so you have it's your policy.
Can they do that anywhere?
Yeah, anywhere can do it, right?
So they just choose not to.
Yeah, well, one of the arguments is funding. Like they lose the funding, but
Funding
that's
from what, federal or state funding?
no,
Both of
like
the
in
bail
terms of the
system.
bail system, the money that they're getting from the bail
Yeah.
system, right? Because if you take away people having to pay bail, that's part of
Yeah.
the resource. That's part of the money they use to operate
It's a revenue source.
right? But she gets decided, you know what? We're going to get away with it because there's so many people that are sitting there for driving with the license suspended. You're sitting in jail or a little bit of marijuana and you have paraphernalia and they charge you with this and you can't get out because you just don't have $1,000. Some people don't have or whatever to pay.
Yeah.
You know,
What's the limit that they're trying to go?
It's low level offense. I don't know all the offenses. I think it's 8 or 9 low level offenses that, I mean, they're not violent crimes.
Right.
You don't pose a threat to society. So let you come back. You're not a threat to do anything. You're not going to flee. Let you come back, go home, take care of the stuff you have to take care of at home, but come back.
Right. And
whatever your hearing is, you're going to come back and face the hearing.
Yeah. I hope that experiment works because it
should spread.
Very good. Yeah.
It would be,
It's a very
we had a
progressive
whole
policy.
show on the bail bond system, and,
I think
and
that'd be
apparently
awesome.
the U.S. and the Philippines are the only 2 countries.
I was trying not to say
yeah,
that. God
yeah, we said it a million different times, but
I think that'd be awesome because
but-
think about it. A lot of people, their license might get suspended.
Yeah.
I had my license suspended. I didn't even know.
yeah, it's aggressive.
Oh,
No, it's
and
aggressive.
PS,
No doubt
we were
about
informed
it.
by Carlos Martinez that if you do get charged with driving with your license suspended, you can never get your past criminal record expunged or sealed.
Really?
FYI. So
I'm on top of all that stuff now.
That's crazy.
don't drive with your license
Yeah. I'm on-
suspended.
I'm on top of
isn't
everything.
there a
Go
city?
pay those old tickets. I'm telling you now.
Take care of
Didn't
that.
DC
Sometimes
get
you
rid
forget.
of?
Yeah.
That's true.
No, you know what can happen too? There's a new little revenue source. Kweku helped my mom, may she rest in peace, out with her. She got a red light ticket.
Yeah.
That's a whole scumbag move that the
Didn't
state's
they,
doing.
Yeah.
What's up with
didn't
that?
they take that off though already?
They took it to the Supreme Court, guys, Florida Supreme Court, that is, I think, because they're saying that these are like companies out of nowhere that actually operate the actual camera. So there's no police presence to actually, give the ticket and so forth. So it's against the law. You can't have no police, interaction and control of giving the ticket. And that's what all these Aventura and all them, they contracted with these companies. They put the cameras there,
Right.
but there's no police to say, oh, they actually did run it or not. It's just capturing you, the video, and sending you the ticket. So they took it to the Supreme Court, and I think they said the red light tickets are against the law, but then they're still trying to fight it. So some cities have not decided they're just going to get rid of it altogether,
Right.
And other cities are still battling to keep that.
They still have it
revenue source.
here.
Yeah.
I thought it was gone already.
I mean, Waze always gives me a little heads up.
This is a good
Like
thing.
camera.
I think the person
Reported
that
ahead.
created Waves was against the government.
Sounds about right.
Wave everything on those roads.
Waves, boy, they tell you everything.
Props to the homie that made waves.
Yeah, for real. I wanna be that
That made
person.
waves. Props to them.
I be seeing it like a cop hiding. I'll tell you.
You gotta tell you all the
So this red light ticket thing is a resource for municipal city revenues.
Yeah.
That seems like kind of a scumbag move. Are there other moves that are like that, like walking while black, or you're familiar with this one?
of course. Well, what's funny?
Remember that one?
I heard about that one.
While I was in New York, like years ago, I went there. My sister lived there, and I wanted to spend the summer there with her. One day, I'm crossing the street. I think this is in Brooklyn or Crown Heights or somewhere, and like I just, I spit because I had something in my mouth. I couldn't hold it to get somewhere, and the cop gets out of his car.
Who thinks about holding their
Right.
spit to get somewhere unless you're in the elevator?
Cop gets out of the car. I was like, "You're not from here, right?" Like, "No, I'm from Florida." He's like, "I can tell." I'm like, "What's the problem?" He's like, you spit right in front of my car, and you were jaywalking." I said, "Wow."
Wow.
He gave me a ticket.
He did.
Wow.
He gave me a
You
ticket.
got a ticket?
I've never
I
heard
got
of
a
that
ticket
before.
for jaywalking in L.A.
You know what I mean?
LA, you will get a ticket for
I
jaywalking.
never knew
A
about
jaywalking
that.
ticket in New York?
I got
never
one
heard
in
about
New
New
York.
Wow.
LA, I got one.
He said you spit while you were crossing the street. That's against the law.
I thought it was only spitting on the sidewalk because my dad used to tell me that was a thing back in the day, and I think it was like the early version of broken windows policy, the spitting.
on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it. I mean, I wasn't a lawyer then. This is when I was 19. So I was just thrown like, what are you talking about?
It's like a different version of the smell of marijuana emanating from
You didn't like
Yeah.
the fact that I spit, so you felt like you had the power and you're gonna get me
Yeah.
for something, right?
Now, did you pay the ticket or fight the ticket?
How much
I was
the ticket?
19. It was like $200. I didn't pay.
They gave me a $250 ticket in L.A. for jaywalking. I had no idea I was jaywalking.
Did you pay it or fight it?
No, I mean, I didn't live there. I didn't want no trouble. I just paid it.
Just paid it.
Because I don't know how it works over there. I didn't know at the time. Like,
Sure.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I was walking straight, and all I did was basically turn to the left and walked over the white line.
Yeah.
And
Cop right there, like, come here, buddy, let me talk to you.
Wow.
See your driver's license. I'm like, driver's license? Let me see your ID. He said,
I
I said, for
I'm not
what?
driving.
I'm not for what? What did I do? Because I mean, I could sound stupid. I'm not showing nobody anything if I know I didn't do nothing.
Yeah, but in LA, if
But
your
over
toe
the-
leaves the curb, the cars are like stop on a dime. It's like
different culture.
It's
I ain't
great.
gonna lie to you. I was
Not in Miami.
shocked.
Not
I was
in
like,
Miami.
jaywalking.
That's what I was.
What does jaywalking mean?
Yeah.
Oh, you walked across, and I was like, I just basically
Yeah.
didn't finish the whole.
That's
you know what I mean? Like I didn't finish the whole thing.
That's definitely a local thing because I mean, my
10
Miami,
years
like,
later,
come
I
on.
don't even I don't do nothing
Yeah,
in
you're
LA.
like in the line.
I'm in LA. I'm here and in LA. I'm back and forth.
Yeah.
But I learned so much over there, bro. The cops,
Got rules.
they're ruthless over there.
Yeah.
They ask me, yes sir, no problem, yes sir, whatever you need. Yeah, I don't play with that.
Different than Miami,
Nah,
huh?
man.
Or different than Miami?
No, Miami, they shoot.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Over there, they're gonna beat you.
no, they're gonna take it that.
But listen, I try to avoid any drama with any cop. Yes sir, no sir. What you need? My license? Here you go. Here's my passport. What do you want? I just think I think that's the problem with our youth today. Because if a cop asks you, let me see you, give it to them. If you're not hiding anything, listen, I have an 18-year-old, and I tell him, you're going to be walking around one day, and they might stop, you give it to them. I've seen, why do I got to give them? No, just give it to them. I have friends, 2 of my best friends are cops.
Yeah.
And they tell me stories, and I'm like, damn.
Where are the cops worse? Miami, New York, or LA?
Wow.
I guess they all got their certain little.
Thing is,
Because New York, you'll get some stop and frisk.
No, well,
action.
New York, they're just disrespectful.
Really.
They're just verbally disrespectful.
I think they're all.
Here, I haven't really had verbally I've been arrested here, you know what I mean? But in New York,
You had your ass beat here.
I got my ass whooped here. But over there, I mean, they'll just embarrass you. Like I never forget. We got.
they're like New Yorkers.
No, they're super disrespectful. The cop, one day I had he broke my license. He broke my, he's like, oh, this shit is no good.
What?
Damn.
Just snapped it in front
He
of you.
snapped it in front of me.
It's no good.
It's no
gotta
good.
go to
It hasn't
DMV.
expired yet.
I was like, why would you
Damn.
break my
Yeah.
license? I had a Miami license.
Yeah.
And he's, the license here,
Yeah,
are like,
flimsy, yeah.
the ones in New York, you could bend them and everything.
Yeah.
He thought it was like, this is no good. And he took me in until he was like, all right.
That's
Like,
crazy.
it's just, to me, I think they're just disrespectful. And they know that the New Yorker is not going to tolerate, which you should just shut up and be like, okay.
We're gonna talk.
You know what I mean? Because they're just like, get the f out of here, get this, and curse at you. And you're like, whoa, what's all that for?
Flagrant. They're not there to serve. They're there to
Yeah,
serve
like now
you,
you're
right?
disrespecting.
Or
Like, whoa,
protect.
I just don't. I don't know why they get away with that.
It's a culture
They're not,
thing.
well, not. I mean,
But
they-
they
getting away with
made a
everything.
deliberate attempt to try and change the culture. I
But
mean,
they're getting away with it
yeah.
every day, bro. Listen,
Well,
one of the biggest things that I thought it was wrong that Giuliani did, he was taking people that were coming out of jail and making them cops.
they need a
Back
cops
in the
bad,
day, they
you know?
needed. That's how bad they needed cops in New York at one time. And this guy was, guys that had, you did a year, you did okay, you're good, and they were becoming
They were
cops.
giving waivers for.
They were
those
giving
kind of-
waivers
really?
for that's horrible.
So how do you think that changed? The elements of
That
what
that
happens
could be
in the
probably the guy
police?
10 years later that's the one that's beating up some, you know what I mean? Because you hear in New York all the time, the guy with the wallet, they thought it was a gun, they shot him 8 times.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Diallo
So
and all that.
Giuliani, he did that. And that's horrible.
he's
Man, you go to jail, you go to jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that you should become a cop. Give him something else. Because
Yeah.
now you're giving him a gun. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, there's a lot. I mean,
And I don't want, but he went to jail.
Yeah,
no,
I got-
if it's
yeah.
a criminal
I mean,
thing,
Does it matter what you went
after-
to jail? Because some people, I mean,
if he went to jail for like non-violent, then it's cool. But
Yeah.
he was giving, they
Yeah.
weren't doing no background
Because
checks.
you
on
got to
these
give
people.
somebody a break. If you're, a young man and you
Yeah.
run
Make
a
with the
mistake,
wrong
yeah.
crowd, you made one mistake. You shouldn't change your
I
whole
mean,
life. I mean, that's
would
part of my
argue
whole
that you
argument.
might want somebody with, that's from the neighborhood that interacted with the system.
Right.
Like,
if you
imagine,
have a
Because we all loved
Yeah.
Serpico, right? He was
Yeah.
like a guy who was a criminal
Who's
who
that?
became a cop. It's some
Okay.
70s reference, sorry.
Yeah, no, I got family that's NYPD, siblings and cousins, and it's NYPD, and
I have a cousin that's
yeah, they're there to change the culture to try to make it more reflective of the community.
Exactly.
But
Now, have they ever told you?
I'm not disagreeing with you. In that,
Have they ever given
what you're
you
saying.
any like crazy? Like I ask my cousin, like, yo, be honest.
Yeah.
There's he's like, bro, I see a little bit of everything, but you can't go against your team.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my
Oh
God.
yeah,
code,
yeah. I
right?
mean,
can't go
the
against the
police
code.
force is like they're like a gang within themselves.
They're a
straight up.
gang.
You know,
Oh,
and
no
so
doubt,
they look
yeah.
out for each other. They have each other's back. There's a
Yeah.
loyalty there.
Absolutely.
So you can't like ignore that. I mean,
can't.
so that's and that factors into a lot of the decisions and a lot of the things that happen in communities where there's a code of honor within the force that has them overlook things or
Code of dishonor.
or dishonor, exactly. They overlook things that's are straight up wrong. And
I believe there's good cops. I believe there's bad cops. I believe there's racist cops. I believe there's a little bit of everything. The thing is, they can't. It's like you can't snitch on your guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's been cases where the one person stood up. And then they're like get fired.
Yeah.
They're
Go
like,
well
go-
for 'em.
but that's
doesn't go
the
well
gang
for them.
mentality. That's that gang
Have
shit.
any of you guys
Exactly.
ever seen like a cop or a state attorney or prosecutors like been able to be bought off, like paid off? Like, hey, come on, let's make this go away. Especially you, because you've been on the road with some big artists. Have you ever seen
I've
any
seen
of
some
that?
cops do some funny things, but not. I mean,
You ever pay one off?
not here. I'll be honest with you, not in America.
Not in
Oh,
America.
yeah.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah.
Not in America.
I was in South America.
I was in
My
South
old lady, she
America.
tells me, look, she goes, here's the deal down here. If we're on the highway and a cop gets behind you to pull you over, don't stop.
Yeah,
I'm like,
wow.
for real? She's like, do not stop the car.
Wow.
Where's she
Wow.
from? Oh, shit. Argentina.
Oh yeah.
She's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
do
But I
not
ain't-
stop the car.
I'm Colombian.
Just you keep going. I was
Wow,
like, yeah,
that's crazy.
probably the same deal in Colombia,
Yeah, it's the
right?
same. Listen, I got pulled
do
over.
not stop.
I was riding a
In Ghana,
motorcycle.
same thing.
I was riding a motorcycle in Colombia,
Crazy.
Yeah.
and they pulled me over, and my uncle was just like,
Damn.
he's just like, you gotta give
Give
him,
him
we gotta
something,
give him
huh?
money.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
uncle.
yeah,
right.
So he's like,
Exactly.
give him your passport. Do not speak Spanish. I'm like, word. He's like, do not speak Spanish.
let
No
him
doubt.
He says, don't. I said, okay. And I put a $50 bill in my passport, and I was like, here.
Yeah.
He opened the passport.
The money.
You're free
Have a
to
nice
go.
day. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
That's like for real. Like not a
What's
TV
funny,
moment.
I caught myself in situations like that in Ghana. A few years ago, it was with my ex-wife, and I'm driving, and we get pulled over. And I'm like, I'm American, right? And she's living there at the time. I'm like, I didn't do nothing wrong.
Yeah.
She's like, it's not that time. I'm like, no, I didn't do anything wrong. They told me I'm
Yeah.
trying to get over. She's like, it's not that time.
Don't try and be a lawyer here.
Luckily for us,
Don't try to be a lawyer.
she was working at the time with the attorney general. So they took us to the station. They held us. They tried to take the key. She had the push start key. She was like, no, you have to have your thumb. You can only use your thumb. And that's like a Prius. It was just a push start. They didn't know.
Yeah. Gotcha.
She's like, yeah, you have to use a fingerprint to open the door. Yo,
Like an iPhone.
yeah, so they wanted to take the car away. She ended up getting us out of it though. She called somebody and they was like, yo, they called back to the station. And the officer, they were like, yeah, you need to let them go because they didn't do it. And the officer's like, no, we told them they could go. I'm like, yo, you full of it, man. Y'all had us here for hours.
I've never seen that in the States, but I've seen that in Mexico. I seen a cop. I was on vacation, and I seen a cop running. Like, you know how you just notice someone running? He was across the street, he ran, and then he stands in front of me and with his hand. And I was like, wasn't that guy just all the way over there? And he comes up to me in Spanish. He's like, you guys passed the red light all 2 blocks down. I was like, what?
Like, come on,
right.
man.
He's like, in Spanish, he's like,
running.
oh, you guys passed the red light 2 blocks down. You got to pay me.
You gotta pay
I was like, yo,
me.
my man, get the fuck out of here. Like, part of my life. I was like, no. Like, I'm not paying. Like, you're bugging. I got in, it was in a Jeep. I was like, I kept going.
Yeah.
What was he going to do?
Oh,
He had a,
chase you.
like, he was going to chase me.
Yeah.
But I already knew he was trying to get me.
Got you.
Because I'm looking in the rearview mirror, and I'm like, look at this cop. I'm telling my ex-wife, look at this cop. And then I see him, and he crosses, and he stands right in front of my truck.
Stop with the hand.
2 blocks down, you passed the red light.
So,
There was no red lights.
So Carlito.
No, I was just gonna say. So, like, all in all, is it better to be out there selling drugs and making money illegally and beating the system,
Nah.
or is it better to work hard, do the right thing, and maybe be killed by somebody from the system? I don't know.
Well, you got to try to avoid it. I mean, a working man is not a sucker. You know what I'm saying? He's going to live longer. You know what I mean?
Have some peace of mind.
A drug dealer, let's be honest, a drug dealer has 2 ways out. It's the cemetery or jail. We know how that story ends. It's unfortunate that these people, our people, they really think that shit is cool. You know, I'm Colombian, so, and I can speak on it because I was raised on that. My grandfather was murdered in '98. He was rich. We lived great. Colombia, here in the States, and he had houses here. I was around that. You know what I mean? But I know how that story ends. You know? So I tell my kids, I have 2 boys, and I tell my 18-year-old, like, look, you want to sell drugs? This is the ending of the story. It's in movies. It's unfortunate that the guys root for the bad guy. I don't root for the bad guy. I learned from my older heads. Like, I was the youngest one out of the crew that used to see these things going on, and I know what not to do. So no, it's not cool to sell. Listen, I sold drugs, but I sold it to survive.
Right.
You know, it was good to bring home some food.
Yeah.
My mother never knew this until we were old. Till I was old, like, I'm talking about like probably 3-4 years ago, and I'm 37.
Yeah.
That I told my mom, I did this, and she was like, what?
Yeah.
But I was fortunate enough not to get caught in that system.
Right.
I had friends of mine that got murdered. I had friends of mine that are in jail. The music industry saved my life.
Mine too.
I can't lie to you, it saved my life.
Yeah.
So, and I owed Fat Joe and you know, that he saved my life when it came to that. But these kids think it's cool.
Yeah.
And I'd see it in the music industry now. Like we were talking, we were conversing outside. They really think it's like, this gang shit is not, listen, it's not, you live by the gun, you die by the gun. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And is this getting crazier, or is it because
I think it's getting crazier, but at the same time, it's being set up by by somebody. You have artists now that are.
You mean
feuding.
it's being made to look like
romanticized?
You mean like it's like a fake romantic?
It's fake. It's to me that it's
set
all
up
all that
staged.
shit. Like, yo, I'll kill you. It's not gonna happen. But on Instagram, it's looking like these kids arguing on Instagram and all that.
But
they're
we
not
know
killing
some
nobody.
artists that have actually been murdered over here. In
Yeah, but
Liberty
there was no
City and
Instagram back
Overtown.
then.
Well, no, it's
No.
recent. No, and so that's
last
the
year.
unfortunate reality about what's
shitty, yeah.
different about today than prior is that a lot of the youth, the millennials, Generation Z, like they clout chase on
Yeah, you're
social
right.
media.
They get. I mean, the kid got
and
killed the
and
other
they'll
day.
talk reckless on social media, and they don't understand that
There is
the repercussions are
repercussions.
different depending on where you go.
But the
And
thing is,
so-
and I don't mean to cut you off. The thing is, the ones that are doing the talking now that I see, like the 6ix9ine kid and the
Exactly.
Trip Red, they're not gangsters. The ones that are getting murdered, those guys were gangsters.
Well, that's the point I'm trying to make is that, especially in Miami, with our artists from Overtown, Liberty City, there's repercussions to the words, and so when they go somewhere else and they see people talking, they're like, "Whoa, like, what's the repercussion here?" Because if you say that where I'm from, I mean that's it's going to end badly.
Of course.
So people don't just say anything disrespectful. But that's also the problem that's going on is that a lot of other people want to be like them, but it's real life. Like it's not a game, and
that's why
the
they
culture.
gets
The
them
culture is
killed.
feeding in that, and that gets them killed.
That gets them
You'll
killed.
always hear about artists from Memphis or artists from Dallas, from Chicago getting killed, but not these artists from these bigger cities. It's not because it's not the same circumstances. But what I'm worried about is that there's going to be a time and place where one of the artists who are talking tough is going to end up in one of these other neighborhoods where they will act upon it, and that's what needs to change in the
Unfortunately, it
industry.
might
It's really it's set up for that.
It is.
That really
set up,
does need to change because at the end of the day, we're in an industry where if we actually focus on the music and what they're producing, they'll actually do well long term.
Exactly.
But a lot of them are clout chasing. They want to be affiliated
That's
with the
the new
gangsters.
thing, clout chasing,
and that's not a good thing.
It bothers me personally.
Yeah, because
I'm
you're
in the industry.
Not only that, and you came from some real life,
No,
difficult stuff.
My guys really got it in.
Yeah, and
There wasn't
you're
no-
breaking this. You're breaking the cycle with your own boys, telling
Yeah.
them, hey, this way of living is not cool. It's not the right way. And I love what you said. A hard day's work, a working man is,
It's not a sucker.
It's not a sucker.
Yeah.
It's not a
Never a
sucker.
sucker.
My father's a hardworking man.
Yeah.
He won't retire. I'm begging him, like, yo,
Yeah.
he won't. He loves
Not a
getting
sucker.
up every day.
Yeah.
He loves going to work. He loves coming home. He's not a sucker. And
Right.
I learned that from him.
Yeah.
You know, what I did, I did it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? It was just in the situations that we were put in. You know, when our lives changed, my grandfather was murdered, my uncles went to prison. It's like my mother had to go work, and it's like, I can't, hold up, I got to help out. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I left my house. I was 16, 17 years old. I left my house.
Right. It's
You know
out
what
of
I mean?
circumstance. A lot of these kids don't. At least
get
I don't
that.
see a lot of kids now that are doing that. It's not out of. That's their only choice. It's kind of like I
No,
need
you
this.
just said it.
You know
It's
what I mean?
their own
For the
choice.
clout.
Right. Yeah.
My mother never kicked me out.
Right.
Right.
My mother was like, you could stay home till you're whatever. No, I had to go help her.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And again, I'm fortunate enough that the music industry was my way out. I was 15 years old when I met Joe. I interned for a label, and I was 18 when I signed my first deal.
Nice.
At 18, I bought my first house.
Good.
I was
Oh,
able to
wow.
do
That's-
that.
Yeah. That's a lot. Congrats. man.
I was able because of that. I was the kid that was in the back of the studio. Okay, what is that song? How does that song go from there to the radio? Like, I
yeah.
wanted to learn that. Loud gave me a platform, and they showed me I was part of their first street team, and I went from street team to marketing to promotion and marketing to like until they folded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it gave me a job. It got me out of the streets. Now we're going to places and people actually want to know who we are. You know what I mean? Like, I was talking about, I did an interview a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about the whole social media thing, right? So now you're, what are they called? You know, they have 1 million followers. They're called
Influencers.
influencers, right?
yeah.
So I'm like, how are they an influencer? Just because they have 1 million followers? Does that make sense? To me, it doesn't. You know why? Because I had to deal with Starter, and I had no 1 million followers. And I was like a poster child for Starter. I had to deal with Nike. We had Tommy Hilfiger. We had, because
didn't have the
we
1 million
worked
followers,
those
yeah.
projects. So I had Nike sending me boxes of sneakers. I had Adidas with Kobe Bryant. When he first got signed, his logo was the Afro, remember? They had the ugly.
yeah.
We had that. Loud Records, us, myself, Gabi Acevedo, like, we had those deals. We didn't have we were influencers without having
Having to-
1 million followers.
Sure, but
Yeah.
that's a different type of influence. I mean, like, the 1 million followers is obvious influence, right? Like, people are looking at you.
Instant influence.
But they're
but what
doing
you're saying-
something that's
yeah.
not productive to our like, they're not. Why?
True.
Tell me, how is that productive? You on a bikini all day long.
It's that
But then at
Kardashian
the-
effect.
Exactly. But then at the same time, we have.
That's what I call
it's
it.
true. But then at the same time, we have billions of people in this world. So you're gonna have 1 million idiots, a
Yeah.
million, you know.
You can buy followers too,
scumbags,
right?
1 million. So I'm like, to me, it's like, I can't listen. God bless you. You're doing your thing. You're getting money. Do your thing. But I can't respect you for what you're doing because
Well, you know what?
You're not. You're not.
I don't agree with that, because a lot of people who are quote unquote influencers, they're making money, and I never.
Not all
never
of them, though, man.
Not
Don't
all
let
of them.
that hype fool you.
I
Trust
agree.
me, I know.
I agree with you 100%.
I've met them. I've met some of
I
these
agree with you
kids that have
100%.
millions of followers.
But what
and
about the
they're
ones?
broke.
But what
Big
about
one
the
of
ones
those
that
that are
do
making
that?
money. I guess you want to talk about the ones.
The ones that are
What about the
making
ones that
money,
do? Yeah.
those are the ones that you'll see different than the ones that I'm like. I've met people like, damn, you got 4 million followers, but you live in your mom's basement.
I mean, like, what about World Star Hip Hop, right? Just look at that platform and what,
Well,
what
yeah,
the kind of
World
content
Star-
that they
World
produce
Star,
and the kind of
yeah.
money that they make and the kind of influence that they have, right? So you could say, like, there's no substance there because all you show is fights and people getting killed
I
and
love
whatnot.
Q.
But
That
people
was my friend.
people are
May he rest in
looking at that
peace.
platform and
Never
it's,
agreed with the platform,
but
but yet it's the biggest thing on planet Earth.
It is what it is, and it's influential.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, you could question the subject matter and its impact, but you cannot question the influence. It's
I
influencing.
don't go on there no more.
Yeah.
I stopped. Like, Q is my friend. Love him dearly. May he rest in peace. I spoke to him 2 days before he passed. I was more of a fan of what he was doing next. And he
Yeah.
never got to show to the world.
Exactly.
And that's when we got like, oh man, I love that you're doing
Yeah,
this.
and not everybody sees that.
Not everybody
but that's
sees
why
that.
I don't get caught up in criticizing influence. 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't know where they're headed.
Yeah,
You don't know what the long term plan
the
is.
strategy or the
because
blueprint, you know,
someone
yeah.
like you, I don't know him, but you could easily criticize that person. But if you don't sit down and talk to the homie, you won't understand like where he's
No,
going.
you're
long term.
absolutely right. Me personally, I just met so many, and I'm like, dude, you're just doing it
Yeah.
for the gram.
Yeah, sounds about
But
right.
then there's some amazing people. Listen, I'm a big fan of a female called Lele Pons. I don't know if you ever heard of her. She was a funny comedian in high school. She's huge now. A friend of mine is doing an album with her. And I was like, what's crazy? I used to remind. She was like the creator of, like, she was one of the biggest Vines back in the day. Funny comedian.
Yeah.
She took it the right way.
Yeah.
Then you have other girls that they had to stay naked to get something. You know what I mean?
Little talent.
And then I'm like, dude, you know, like.
We're off topic here.
No, but you understand what I'm saying?
I feel you.
But that messes up these kids growing up, man.
Their reality.
Their reality, they think that's cool.
The social media thing has also distorted this reality, period,
That's
right?
true.
Like, you know what I mean? Growing up, you didn't have that to see, dang, you see 10,000 people and you think, man, they doing this, and that. So now as a kid, your mind isn't strong enough to grasp that it's fake, it's projected, it's set up.
Reality
you know
TV.
what I mean?
It's not real time.
Yeah, it's not real.
I'm like, it's only the good
It's
parts.
snapshots. You getting someone's
happy
snapshots.
there was no social media back when I was
Snapshots.
You know what I mean? So you don't know what else.
We would have
got going on
really
life,
been
you
in
know what I
jail.
mean?
Like I tell my friends, I'm like, yo, I'm glad there was no.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
No Instagram, no
Do
Snapchat.
you guys hear about this thing? Spotify pulling down music from artists because of their
Criminal
criminal,
background.
like was it
I
R.
heard about
Kelly
that.
or
R. Kelly.
Triple
So I think-
extension.
Extension, yeah. I think this is actually.
Is it actually happening?
Yeah, I think it is, but I think it's a horrible precedent.
Really?
Yeah, because where do you separate the art from the artist? You know, we're heading towards the end of today's program, and one of the things that I always like to ask is who's playing on your playlist, who you're listening to, like what music you're listening to. But I just wanted to throw this question about these big streaming services becoming the arbiters of being able to separate the art from the artist. Because as a country, I think we've been able to do this for a long time. Granted, Spotify is not an American company, but us as Americans, where do you guys draw the line with that? Curious.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hard question to answer because it's like these are the outlets that are. The labels are not helping nobody. So you have outlets like the Spotify and all that. They're actually
Apple Music,
Spotify, and all that. Yeah. But it's I don't know. Is it
the medium now
hard.
to get your stuff? It's the medium now to if you're a young person,
you know
get
what
that
it is?
exposure.
It's easier for them.
It's not
easier.
Just young. It's just a platform that everybody
creators.
uses.
It's just
so
easier.
Get your music out there.
Again, it's like a YouTube.
But do you think? What do you think about the fact that these companies are going to make a call on whether or not that artist's music should be streamed based on accusations or criminal behavior?
I don't agree with that.
So I disagree with it as just someone who's like super about the American ideals, right?
Of course, I disagree with it. I agree with you 100%. I disagree with it. The thing is that Spotify is one of many outlets.
It's one of the biggest.
Yeah, but the question is
it's a trend, though.
No, but that's not the question, because the question is, what about Spotify, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're doing it, they could easily set a precedent for other people.
Other companies
and so the question is, should these private companies, these businesses, be in the business of being moral judges, right?
No way.
Judging morality and saying, you know what, like your art is great, but you're a shitty person, and so we're just not going to give you the opportunity to play your music on a platform.
I don't think they should have the right
ecosystem
because it's a slippery slope.
I think that
they do this cat Extension was bragging about beating this woman when she was pregnant.
Oh, I don't. Yeah.
Well, he went to jail. But this is the thing. I believe if they do that, I think if they do that, I think if Spotify does do that, it's gonna hurt them.
Well, I think they're doing it. They've already done it. They already pulled down.
They took down.
Well, it's not that they pulled anyone down. It's just that they don't get behind any marketing. So if you wanted to access the music, you can get it there, but it's not gonna pop up on any playlists or whatnot. That's how I understand it, as opposed to them pulling the music away.
I don't think it'll do anything.
Difference.
I don't think it'll do anything, and because first of all, they pay the least. They're the biggest because they kind of started it.
Mm. You get into the technical part of it.
Yeah, there's because I'm the behind. You know, I'm I see it like Spotify. Me personally, I don't think they would hurt anybody if they do that, because there's so many. By the way, there's new digital platforms coming out. Jay-Z is about to.
YouTube is starting their new platform tomorrow. This week.
Yeah, I just had a great meeting, and Jay-Z just bought something that is about to come out, and I'm like, oh my god.
He has a streaming platform already.
Tidal, but the thing with Tidal,
everybody's after poor Jay-Z though.
Yeah.
He's his clothing line.
He's
They're
doing
getting
another
they're going
one
after him
because-
on. They're going after him on the bullshit stream numbers
about
on
that,
Lemonade
yeah.
and
Kanye.
well, what he did,
Kanye
what he
project,
did,
yeah,
what
the Pablo,
he did, what he
Life
did
of
was
Pablo.
smart, but it kind of messed him up a little because he had to deal with the phone company, with Sprint.
Yeah.
And the first he sold 5 million phones. So it made it seem like he bought 5 million albums. So now he made the money for it. But the producers and the writers and all that, I'm like, yo, where's my money?
So if Jay-Z's ripping people off, you think he's going to get lawyer up and get off? Or is he going down?
Of course. He's a lawyer. He went to the court yesterday. He came out of court yesterday. He's Jay-Z. But getting back to that, I don't think, first of all, I don't think they should do that. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to hurt anybody.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Well-
I mean, I don't disagree with the choices. I mean, especially R. Kelly.
It's not even an American company.
I'm not
Like,
gonna go to bat for R. Kelly, but I think I draw the line where you're the moral arbiter, right? Like I think you shouldn't be in the business of doing that. I think we're in a society, we're in America, and the people should make their decisions.
I think that,
So-
but like you said, it's not an American company. I know I have a publicist that represents Spotify.
that's true.
But they're not an American company, so they could do whatever they want. Now it's only it might get them kicked out of here.
Yeah.
In a way, like, okay,
Yeah.
the thing with these artists that they're going after, bro, these artists are popular. These artists are huge.
Yeah.
All they gotta say is, do not mess
stuff.
with Spotify anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing. I mean, you can get into all the technical stuff, but
I don't think they.
Some
should do
artists
that,
got to
though.
take a stand against it then and say, I'm not putting my stuff there. And then the bandwagon kind of effect starts. Well, maybe Spotify, it's because public pressure, they might change their policy.
sorry.
I just think that's
Well, we'll see-
horrible.
we'll see what
Let me
happens
not
with
mess
that.
with him because 10 years ago he beat
It's
up.
crazy,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
You know,
stupid.
because you're Atlanta's. I mean, obviously, you said it's a foreign company, but it's second chances, right? Period. So you shouldn't get judged forever for the rest of your life because of one mistake, one incident.
Well,
one-
there it
Just,
is.
just where do you draw the line?
There
it
it
is.
is. Yeah.
There
All
it
right.
is.
So who's on your playlist?
You guys will laugh.
No, we won't.
I have oldies. Frankie Valli.
Barry Manilow.
I have. Actually, you know who I've been having it for a while. I keep
Tell
playing
me.
it over. The Sire album. You know, who's, Jaden Smith, Will
Jaden.
Smith.
Yeah.
That
His
album is
his son.
amazing.
Oh, it is.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And now
Was
people
that the
like-
last one that he just had?
The
Because the
Sire,
video
it's
for it
called
was
Sire.
the video
Yeah.
for it
So
was.
I have now. You guys
tight.
will laugh. I really have a fun. I don't even listen to hip hop like I should, but I don't. But I have. My
He's breaking out his
Like, I
playlist,
got
by
the
the way.
classics, you understand?
He's
Like-
breaking it out right
like,
now
I
on
got
the
the
spot.
classics. Like I got the Bruce Channel.
All right.
I have the Five Satans. Like I have Tom Johnson. I love oldies.
There's nothing wrong with that.
My father,
I
my
love
dad
some
was
oldies
into
too.
radio.
Yeah,
Like
some
my-
Led Zeppelin and some
Yeah.
Pink Floyd.
Like oh no, I have Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like people be like, what?
It's classic music, though.
Good stuff,
But I
man.
got that from Elvis Presley. I have the gold. Like the beat. I like all those oldies, and I listen to it. I might sound crazy, but people make like, yo, you listen to that?
Listening to the Bee Gees
I
like
just
they're
think
going out of style.
it's a different.
Yeah.
It come from
Yeah,
I love
different.
oldies. I'm sorry,
That's
but I'm
all-
listening
that's
to
good stuff, man.
hip hop right now. I'm listening to Sire, the
All right,
Sire album,
All right. Who you listening to?
You can't ask me that.
Come on. Besides the FDF
I don't know.
artists,
which I want to hear.
you got some Mariah
Yeah.
Carey going, some Whitney Houston. Tell me.
I've been in my feelings lately. I mean, I've been in my '90s R&B vibe. So,
What you got?
so just the typical. I mean, I don't want to say it out loud.
Say it
but
out
like,
loud.
Shit, man.
Listen, I just told-
TLC.
All right.
I just told-
like Case. I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah.
Case back in the
man,
day.
Case.
He's bumping some silk. I
Taking
mean,
it back.
it's like
Right.
it's like a
Take
time
that.
period when I was in high school. I thought I was grown and like things were serious.
Nice.
And so it's just some good vibes. And the music is good, man. That R&B is.
You start to
is-
reflect too when you listen to that.
Yeah,
Like, oh,
so-
man, I remember when I was when this was.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
Exactly. It takes you back to that place.
That's why I always say you don't
Yeah.
need to invent a time machine. It already exists.
Music
It's called
does that, man.
Yeah,
So
Music.
How about
Yeah.
you,
I'm
Kweku?
off to a different way. Like I listen to a lot of Afrobeat right now. So,
yeah?
Yes, that's wavy now.
Like
that's
who?
that's my Shatta Wale, Davido, Wizkid. I'm from Ghana, and I also, aside from Lauren, we actually throw parties and Afrobeat
Yeah.
parties. So that's my.
When am I going to be on the invitation?
Yeah.
list?
Come through,
I'd like
man.
to know.
Come through. We have
I
an
heard
event.
those parties go for days. days.
Yeah, those
you
people
know,
from
Spanish people party head for days.
people from Ghana don't mess around. All right,
So,
thank
yeah.
you.
Okay, but hold on. You didn't tell us yours.
Yeah, right.
You know what? Honestly, these last couple of days, I've been listening to some new stuff. There's some new artists out there. Besides some of the FDF artists, this Vanessa Michaels chick, this Outlaw the Artist. He's one of these kind of Afrobeat British rapper guys.
Yeah.
Some grime.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some new Troy Ave stuff that's coming that
my
I've been,
guy. I
that
like
I've been
Troy
privy
Ave.
to because we're getting behind some of that. So
Really?
Yeah. So.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's some good stuff coming out, and he faced some criminal issues back in New York, was acquitted. So hopefully he won't be banned from Spotify
Yeah.
because
He's a great guy. They just hated on him.
they hated on
Yeah.
him big time.
He's a great guy.
a lot of
I had
hate out
long
there.
conversations with him. He's a great guy.
Yeah, man.
I wish him nothing but the best.
Right on. I want to thank you all for being here. For the Felony Miami team, the producers, check us out at felonymiami.com. You can check us out on Apple, Spotify, all the RSS feeds. Listen, give us a few likes. We love you. We'll see you next time. I'm Joe Stone. Peace.
Well, it's early in the morning. Well, I ride, Lord, mama. Well, it's early in the morning.